The cameras rolled, the bright studio lights reflected off the polished floors, and the familiar theme music of the Today Show faded into the background as the live broadcast began. Mark Wahlberg, one of Hollywood's most bankable stars, had been booked for a highly anticipated interview to promote his latest blockbuster. Fans across the country tuned in, eager to see the charismatic actor discuss behind-the-scenes stories from the set, his career, and perhaps even a glimpse into his personal life. From the moment he entered the studio, Wahlberg's usual charm seemed slightly strained. His trademark smile was there, but his eyes hinted at unease. Savannah Guthrie, the lead host, greeted him warmly, her practiced professionalism masking any hint of anticipation for the drama about to unfold. "Mark, it's great to have you here. Your new film is breaking records everywhere. What's it been like seeing that kind of success?" Savannah asked, leaning forward with a smile. "Thanks, Savannah. It's surreal, really. You work on something for months, sometimes years, and then to see it connect with audiences, it's just incredible," Mark replied, his tone polite but a touch guarded. At first, the conversation flowed smoothly. They discussed his training regimen for the role, the intense stunts he performed himself, and even the camaraderie he shared with his co-stars. But as the segment progressed, the questions took a sharper turn. "So, Mark," Savannah continued, "your past has been, well, let's say colorful. There have been incidents in your early life that some people say define you. How do you respond to critics who think your past overshadows your present success?" The question hit like a thunderclap. Wahlberg's jaw tightened, and he shifted in his seat. He had expected questions about his film, maybe about his charitable work, but this felt personal, probing in a way that struck a nerve. "Well, he began carefully. "I think everyone has a past, and I've worked really hard to move forward. I'm focused on my career and my family now." Savannah, sensing the tension but pressing on, leaned closer. "Of course, but some argue that your past behavior, your convictions and controversies, still influence how the public perceives you. Do you think you've ever truly addressed that?" The room went silent for a moment. Even the production crew paused, sensing the shift in energy. Wahlberg's lips pressed into a thin line. He took a deep breath, trying to maintain composure, but the question had clearly struck a raw nerve. "You know what?" he said, standing abruptly. "I came here to talk about my movie, not to rehash things from decades ago. I don't think this is appropriate." The hosts exchanged quick glances, unsure whether this was a staged moment or genuine frustration. Cameras continued rolling, capturing every second. "I'm done," Mark added, his voice firm. He turned and walked toward the studio exit. The click of his shoes echoed through the space as production staff scrambled, trying to stop him, but Wahlberg's decision was final. Savannah looked momentarily stunned, her professional composure slipping for just a second. "Well, that's unexpected," she stammered, trying to fill the sudden silence. Behind the cameras, the producers were in full panic mode, yelling into headsets and signaling for security to intervene. Outside the studio, Wahlberg moved with purpose, avoiding the small crowd of onlookers and journalists. He could hear the faint hum of the cameras and the buzz of live television, but he didn't stop. He had made his point. Some would call it unprofessional, he called it necessary. The incident immediately began trending online. Clips of the walk-off spread like wildfire on social media. Fans and critics alike debated his reaction. Was it a justified refusal to answer intrusive questions, or was it a dramatic overreaction unbecoming of a seasoned actor? Memes and GIFs flooded timelines, showing Wahlberg mid-stride with captions ranging from, "Mark's done with the questions," to, "The Today Show just got Wahlberg." Back in the studio, the hosts attempted to salvage the segment. Al Roker, always the calm presence, tried to redirect the conversation. "Well, folks, sometimes interviews don't go as planned, but let's take a look at some behind-the-scenes footage from Mark's new film." But the audience's attention had already shifted. Social media notifications lit up every producer's phone, and the buzz wasn't about the movie anymore, it was about the confrontation, the walk-off, and the tension that had filled the room moments before. Wahlberg, meanwhile, had retreated to his trailer, still seething. He wasn't angry at Savannah personally, he understood that tough questions come with live television, but he resented the framing of the questions. It felt less like an interview and more like an ambush. He called his publicist, his voice low but tense. "We need to manage this carefully," he said. I want to make sure people know I didn't just storm off out of nowhere. There's a context here, and it's important it's communicated. His publicist reassured him, already drafting statements and preparing for the inevitable media frenzy. But Wahlberg knew the narrative would be hard to control. Once something goes viral, controlling the spin is nearly impossible. As he sat alone, reflecting on the interview, he realized the incident would spark conversations far beyond the entertainment world. People would debate celebrity accountability, the ethics of questioning public figures about their past, and the blurred lines between professional and personal boundaries. And in that quiet moment, Wahlberg understood that today's walk-off was more than a mere reaction, it was a statement. One that would echo across news outlets, social media, and talk shows for weeks to come. The morning after the walk-off, the media landscape was already ablaze. Clips of Wahlberg abruptly leaving the Today Show went viral, shared millions of times across Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Talk shows replayed the footage in slow motion, dissecting his every step, expression, and word. Pundits debated whether the actor had been justified or had let his temper get the better of him. For Mark Wahlberg, the storm outside his trailer felt surreal. His phone buzzed incessantly, messages from family, friends, agents, and even curious fans poured in. Some praised him for standing up for himself, others criticized him for being unprofessional. He ignored most of the notifications, focusing instead on a single thought: clarity. By midday, his publicist had drafted a carefully worded statement. Mark Wahlberg walked off the Today Show yesterday because he felt the interview focused excessively on his past rather than his current work. He respects the show and its hosts, but believes audiences deserve to see the full context behind his actions. Mark read the statement, nodding. It conveyed the truth without sounding defensive, and he approved it for release. Meanwhile, social media was not waiting for official statements. Memes exploded overnight, Mark mid-stride, hand raised in exasperation, with captions like, "When they ask the wrong questions," and, "Mark's done explaining himself." Journalists speculated endlessly. Would this incident damage his career, or would it humanize him, showing a man who refuses to be defined solely by his past? Amid the chaos, Wahlberg decided to reach out to Savannah Guthrie personally. He sent a text. "Savannah, I wanted to apologize if my reaction yesterday seemed abrupt. I respect you as a journalist and as a person. It wasn't personal, I just felt cornered by the questions. I hope we can move past it." Hours later, a response came. "Thank you, Mark. I understand. Interviews can get tense, especially live. I hope we can collaborate again sometime under better circumstances." The gesture eased some of the tension for Mark. The world might see the walk-off as drama, but in reality, it was simply a line drawn, a boundary between personal growth and old mistakes. By evening, the conversation had shifted to talk shows, podcasts, and news commentaries. Experts in media ethics weighed in. Should hosts focus more on current achievements than dredge up a guest's controversial past? Could celebrities ever truly escape public scrutiny, no matter how reformed or accomplished? In Hollywood, reactions were mixed. Some actors expressed sympathy for Wahlberg, sharing anecdotes of their own experiences with aggressive interviews. Others cautioned that public figures must always expect tough questions. Meanwhile, Wahlberg used the unexpected free time to reconnect with family. At home, he found comfort in the normalcy of daily life, away from flashing cameras and endless commentary. He played catch with his children, cooked dinner with his wife, and for the first time in days, felt the weight of tension lift slightly from his shoulders. Yet, the story wasn't over. Late that night, news outlets reported that the Today Show producers were planning a follow-up segment, giving their side of the story. They emphasized that their questions were intended to be probing but fair, aimed at providing viewers with context about Wahlberg's personal journey and public persona. The segment sparked debate over journalistic responsibility versus personal boundaries, further fueling the viral storm. As the next morning dawned, Mark Wahlberg's team prepared a more extensive media strategy. Instead of shying away, he agreed to a sit-down interview with a trusted journalist known for nuanced reporting. He wanted to tell his story on his terms, without the pressure of live television or the sensation-seeking tactics that had led to the walk-off. The interview aired a few days later. Wahlberg spoke candidly about his past, acknowledging mistakes while highlighting the work he had done to grow and contribute positively to society. He spoke about his family, his charitable work, and the lessons learned from life's harshest challenges. His tone was honest, unguarded, and reflective. The public response was overwhelmingly positive. Social media commentary shifted from mockery to appreciation, applauding Wahlberg for transparency and courage. Even those who had criticized him initially admitted that the actor's willingness to confront difficult topics, on his own terms, had earned respect. By the end of the week, the controversy had transformed into a narrative of resilience and self-awareness. Mark Wahlberg had walked off a live show, yes, but he had also walked into a larger conversation about redemption, personal boundaries, and the complexity of celebrity life in the age of social media. In the end, the walk-off became a defining moment, not of humiliation, but of integrity. It was a reminder that even those in the public eye have limits, and that acknowledging one's past while controlling the present narrative is both an art and a statement of self-respect. Mark Wahlberg returned to the public eye stronger, more deliberate, and with a renewed focus on his work and family. The Today Show incident faded into history, remembered not for the shock value of a live exit, but for the story it told about a man unwilling to compromise his dignity, even under the harshest scrutiny. And in Hollywood, where every misstep can become headline news, Mark Wahlberg had turned what could have been a career hiccup into a testament of personal strength, leaving fans and critics alike to reflect, sometimes walking away as the most powerful move of all.